Welcome back to Worldview. Now, joining us again today on the program is the Reverend Dr. Britt Minshall. He's the author of the acclaimed The Jesus Book, a look at the true writings versus the distortion found in most dogma. Dr. Minshall speaks regularly on television about religious communities and how they operate, and occasionally on political matters involving the Church. Now, he was most recently on this program discussing the elevation of Pope Francis and what that portends for the future of the Catholic Church. And he recently wrote the article, The Rock and the Hard Place, which appeared in our sister publication, UK Progressive Magazine, on the crisis in Egypt and the Middle East. I wanted him back on the show today to discuss both the seeming rock star, plain-spoken new pope and this current Mideast crisis. He joins us today from his home in Baltimore, Maryland. Dr. Minshall, welcome back to Worldview.
Dennis, God bless you. Nice to see everybody again.
Thank you. Now, I'm going to call you Britt because that's how I've known you for years as my own pastor and friend. Let's start with Pope Francis. When we last talked about this new pope and the Jesuits taking control of the Vatican, you were somehow very optimistic. Indeed, you then later feared for his life inside that hidebound and traditional Vatican Empire. And you mentioned that it was kind of important that he was not staying in the papal apartments during his transition. Talk a little bit about why you're still very bullish on this pope.
One of the things that happens occasionally within a group setting is someone like an Earl Warren, former Chief Justice of the United States, who has been part of a particular party and an ideology all of his life, a real hero in Earl Warren's case to the political right, and Earl Warren turned on that right to the point where Eisenhower called him the worst mistake he's ever made. Now, I'm looking at Pope Francis as possibly being that kind of pope. The thing is, and we've got to always remember this, is that Pope Francis is a part of a huge, tight organization, much tighter than a political party even. And during the past 30 years, when Pope Francis was coming up through the Jesuit order, through being a teacher at the Medina School in Argentina, through being auxiliary bishop, all the way up to archbishop, in that whole 40 year period, he was the domination, if you will, of the right John Paul II Vatican. So he is very much a part of the group of people that have really been against the populace in South America, getting rid of safety nets, getting rid of unions, and even part of the dirty war where he actually served as the head of the Jesuits during that entire period, 1975 through 1984.
Well, Britt, he seemed to do very well in Brazil, much like John Paul II was well received by the Catholic youth as a reformer. And although we all know how that eventually ended, Pope Francis appears to be saying the right things about abuse and sounded almost lenient on the topic of homosexuality in the clergy when he said, "Who am I to judge?" So what's real here with this new pope?
Okay, well, Dennis, you had a period, as I just referred to it, back in 1976 to 83. It's called the Dirty War. And during that dirty war, the military oppressors in Argentina, with very much the aid and sanction of the church, declared war. As a matter of fact, in Wikipedia, it's called genocide against their own people, particularly the Amerindians and the poor of Argentina. Now, during that period of time, there were upwards of 30,000 people that were kidnapped, and we suspect about another 50,000 were murdered. In that period of time, all kinds of atrocities happened, and our now Pope Francis was part of the church. But that's not the kicker. The kicker is it's over. Changes have been made, thank God. But the mothers and grandmothers of all those kidnapped children and all those dead children that were killed by these goon squads have formed a group. They did, I guess it's 25 years ago now, the Plaza de Mayo, and they have been searching out to find these people. As part of that, in their own story, which is on file at CSIS in Washington, I read the file, they went repeatedly to the leaders of the Catholic Church in Argentina, up and down, crossed year after year, and they were told exactly the same thing. Let it go. The children are gone. They're in good homes. People pay good money for them. Just don't bother us with it anymore. Pope Francis was asked that same question in Germany just a couple of years ago, and he said to the reporter, I think it was a Reuters guy, it's over. It's done with. The children are gone. Why don't you just let it go? So I think a lot of the stuff that he does is he hasn't dealt with this. The church hasn't dealt with it. And the ladies are still out there looking for their grandchildren and finding some once in a while. But it's obvious the church was the conduit for the children that were taken out. And until they come fessing clean with that, including the Pope, he's stuck. He's got something in his heart that's going to ruin him.
So, and I've heard lots of stories about this particular issue, and it is still, one of those hush stories that not many talk about beyond, beyond the walls of the church itself. What will a revelation like this do for his future? And are you still cautiously optimistic that he'll even survive and be able to bring about any real change in the church?
Well, I'm optimistic that he'll survive. I think he knows that if he brings the issue out, it could save, yes, him and the church, but he also realizes that might be his demise. Now, remember that the previous Pope, Benedict, literally resigned, okay? No Pope resigns. Occasionally. It just hardly ever happens. They said he was sick. He's not sick, okay? I believe sincerely, and I've been following the news behind the scenes, that he was so embedded in this homosexual thing with the children and could not get it out because it was so widespread that it destroyed his ability to be Pope. And I believe sincerely, someone somewhere, maybe a group of people, said that, I'll tell you what, we'll keep you from being indicted. What a disgrace that would be, because he was on the verge in northwestern Europe, and if you'll just resign. So I think that's what was done behind the scenes. At best, that homosexual thing with the priest and the children had dogged him to the point where the Catholic Church was at a dead standstill. Now, I think, because the reporters keep on banging on this issue, that this is the same Achilles heel for Francis. He's got to confess it. That's the basis of the Catholic Church. Confess it, make amends, live up to it.
But that's clearly not the way that the leadership of the church has operated for all these years. I mean, they've obviously done things quite differently.
Oh, well, we know that all groups do that. That's the point. We keep forgetting that the church is nothing more than a human social organism. Just like corporations like Pacific Gas and Electric cover up their bad chemicals in the ground, and the CIA covers up their assassinations. We can go on and on and on, and that's what organizations do. They lie. They cover up their bad deeds, and it's the end of them. In every single case, in the end, it comes back to eat them alive.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us today. He's the Reverend Dr. Britt Minshall. He's the author of the Jesus Book, available on Amazon and Kindle, and he joined us today from his home in Baltimore, Maryland. You're watching Worldview with Dennis Campbell. Stay right here.